So I want to talk about untranslatable words, but I don't agree with the concept of untranslatable words. In order to explain why I don't, I have to go over some very basic translation theory, which I'm going to explain using circles. So very first of all, you have your one-to-one correlation. This is where you have one word in English, one word in French, circle, cercle, easy. It starts getting a little bit harder. I think this is what most people think translation is, that you have one word and then you're looking up the exact equivalent in another language. It's not always the case. Sometimes I wish it was the case. It would make my life a little bit easier. But as you can see, it gets a bit more difficult. In English, we have a verb, to be. In Spanish, there are two verbs to explain the same concept, ser and estar. When you're translating into Spanish, you have to make a choice whether you're going to use ser, whether you're going to use estar. And translating back into English, you don't have this dilemma. Your only choice is the verb to be. Here's where we start getting into a little bit more of a problem. And this, I think, is where the beginning of this idea of untranslatable words come along. So you have one word in English, shallow. In French, this same concept is expressed by two words, peu profond, which means little depth. Little depth, shallow, same concept, one word in English, two words in French. No one is going around claiming that shallow is an untranslatable word in English, even though it's expressed by two words in French, where most people think there has to be a one-to-one correlation. But as you can see, it's not. Most of the untranslatable words are in fact translatable. They're just not translatable by one word in English. You have your untranslatable word here, and you have its translation expressed by maybe 4 words, maybe 5, maybe by a whole sentence, maybe by a whole paragraph, but it is still able to be expressed. For example, a couple of the examples that I see cropping up a lot on these lists, l'appel du vide, which means call of the void, literally, but it means the urge to jump from a high place. Another one is l'esprit de l'escalier, which I think is really cool. It's where you, the gloss is staircase width, and it means when you're having, or you've had a conversation with someone and you're walking away and you think of the perfect comeback, the perfect retort, and but it's too late, the conversation is over. So just because we don't have a word to, or a couple of words to explain the same concept in English, people go on, they create these great big long lists about how these words are untranslatable, but I don't agree with this, because the whole concept of untranslatable words hinges on the idea that there must be a single word. If there's a single word to explain this concept in one language, there must therefore be a single word to explain the concept in another language. And I really just don't believe this is true. I'm sure any translator you will talk to will tell you the same thing, that is not always the case. That is one word per language to explain same concepts. So next time you see that untranslatable word list circulating around, just maybe stop for a minute and think that, well, they say they're untranslatable, but they're not really untranslatable at all.